I've been thinking about this topic for the week, but it's always been difficult to work out what is meaningful to say. In this environment, in the Peace Garden, it's beautiful. It's a time to relax and enjoy nature. And nature always gives us good messages. A sense of peace, a sense of harmony, a sense that there is a way that things should be. There is a natural way, and we keep looking after that. So what's difficult about our hopes, our dreams, our expectations is that they don't always work out, and that's. So I'm preparing to be a teacher at the children's summer camp, and thinking about. I wasn't expecting to be the teacher either. That was a last minute change. But thinking about teaching young children, they naturally have great hopes. They have great expectations of the world, and as parents, we want to encourage that. We want them to believe everything's going to be great. Everything's going to work out. They're going to have a happy life. And so you don't want to tell them about, things go wrong sometimes. But yeah, small things go wrong. I hope it doesn't rain today. Yeah, okay. There's lots of little things to hope for, and it doesn't always work out. And sometimes those kind of things can be that's a big disappointment for children, and they need some help to deal with that. And well, okay, but maybe tomorrow there'll be sunshine. And we got all these songs that we sing which have the same sort of thing. The sun will come out tomorrow. Or the rainbow. Who was telling me about? So there's lots of sources of encouragement to think again, to recognize that sometimes we need to wait a little bit more. So some of the things I've been picking out for the children are about patience and perseverance. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Anyway, that's what to teach for small children. And I was thinking more about my age, and I suddenly see in front of me a lot of people a lot younger than me. And it makes me think again, what should I be saying? Anyway, you probably know well the Bible, Proverbs 13:12. It's quoted in the Divine Principle. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. A desire fulfilled is a tree of life. And so, we want to have our desires fulfilled because that's a source of energy, a source of life, a source of joy. But deferring a hope makes the heart sick. So are we all sick? We have many hopes that have been deferred. I mean, passed on to a future time. I think much of what I was thinking about when I thought of this title and this sermon was reading Father's words from back in the 1960s and 70s and 80s and so on. And so many of the things that Father talked about, it's painful reading because it didn't come about. It didn't happen. Father, said everything is going to change. The world's going to be at peace. This is the final battle to overcome communism. Everything will work out there. And lots of detailed things as well. Father's expectations here and there, and uh, you read it, and yeah, to be honest, it's been painful reading. We've been studying it for our 100K. This is from the Champung Gyong. So it's very much about father's life, true parents' life, and all that they've been through. And again, you see these things, and you think back. Well, okay, he said that in 1970. This is day one of the kingdom of heaven. And then he said it again, about 20 years later. This is day one of the kingdom of heaven. Okay, well, all right. And then another 20 years later, this is day one of the kingdom of heaven. All the time, hope's being deferred. So, yeah, it does make our heart sick to feel that frustration. And, I can't say, I'm personally that. It's not a tragedy for me. There are lots of disappointments, but I can't say that I've had a really disappointing life. I've had so many difficulties. I haven't. I feel really blessed. I feel so fortunate. So many good things. But how do father and mother deal with that? With those, they are passionately, desperately wanting these things to happen. They come out of a situation in Korea, of war and of total disaster, and wanting to be able to recreate their country, and then realizing you can't do that without recreating the world. So you have to go to America, and you have to start talking to presidents, and have to do extraordinary things in order to find peace and satisfaction, and to return to their family. And much of that has not been accomplished. And yet, father and mother continued right to the end of father's life, mother continuing, passionately wanting to achieve these dreams. So there's something very, very, there's a message there. There's something to be grasped from that. And that's what I was looking for. And I was trying to see, well, what is it that we do to deal with disappointment, to deal with when things don't go right. So if you think right now, if you just take a moment just to think, so what's my hope for my family? What's your hope for yourself, for your family? What do you hope for the community around you, or this community? What do you hope for your country? What do you hope for the world? Just take a moment to try to visualize what are those hopes. So we hang on to those things. We want things to be better. We want our life to be better. We want other people's lives to be better. We want our family and our community to be better. And we keep hoping. Martin Luther King, expressed, "I have a dream," and that dream, he expressed it passionately, and because of the intensity of the circumstances trying to achieve that dream, he was killed, and it still that the conflicts go on, but the dream is still there. So I was looking for the responses to this in some of those passages I was reading in those part of the Champimgyong. And this is a section from 1972, Father speaking. About some of the he was that's right. He's reflecting on the time in the 1950s when he was arrested and taken to prison. So this is Father's speech. When I stood in the room for my trial at the Pyongyang Bureau of Internal Affairs, Christian pastors came and hurled insults at me. At the time, I thought, let's see whose children are trained better, yours or mine. Let's see whose followers, the followers you teach or the followers I teach, will turn out better. Even if I die here, mine will turn out better than yours. I cannot forget that day. I still cannot forget the shock that I experienced then. No one will be able to understand or feel it the way I do. That is why I suddenly wake up from sleep and agonize. How can I ever fulfill the pledge that I made before God to follow the dutiful path of filial piety and loyalty to Him? That is why I cannot afford to be exhausted. I have no room for that. I keep myself busy to fulfill my pledge to God. Consequently, I do things that others cannot even imagine. Whenever I am accused, I keep silent, but that does not mean I am spineless. I am just too busy with my path. Actually, I am the kind of person who does not tolerate what is not right. So, Father really expressed, that kind of agony in his heart. That when he was shocked when things go wrong. It's not like he knew that this was going to happen, and he thought that truth must win. He thought that following the righteous path must bring good results, and it didn't. He was condemned. He was sent to prison at that time. And for Father, this happened again and again. So this is 1982. Then another speech. We must have hope. America must follow heaven's law, which is the way of public righteousness, not of private interest. Those who follow the way of public righteousness will rise, but those who go the opposite way will decline. Who will remove those who are going the opposite way? The universe will remove them. The public law, public righteousness will remove them. I have faced opposition throughout my life. I am working to save this nation and its youth. I am striving to create people who can save the free world. Yet I had to stand trial. And so 2 years later, that process went on. So Father speaking now in 1984. When the judgment of the Supreme Court was rendered, I said, God, what are you going to give me next? The result of the court battle is that I'm going to prison. What great blessing will we inherit thereby? All the people worldwide will come back to my side. Families will become unified families and follow me on the path that I'm going. Ethnic groups will become unified peoples. Nations will become unified nations. The world will become a unified world, and all of them will follow me. Accordingly, when I'm released from prison, a group of people representing the unified world will be waiting for me. That is why I consider the path I am on to be a path of hope. That is why I intend to go the path of the cross, knowing that it is actually the path of joy and hope. So Father always saw that through some difficulty, some good results will come. And even if those results were small, he always just focused the fact that there was some result. There was a group of ministers and people of different faiths who stood together with him at the time he went to Danbury, and they were there when he was released. And can't say that America's unified. You can't say that the world is unified. All these hopes and expectations, they're not fulfilled yet. But Father concentrates on even the smallest accomplishment, which shows that the principle is right, that the word is right, that God is right, even if it's only a small step. And then this is Mother's speech 2 days later. So that the last bit I read was the day that Father was going into Danbury, and this is 2 days later. Up until the very moment Father departed for Danbury, he encouraged you and tried to inspire you with hope. Even so, July the 20th, 1984, is a day I truly would like to erase from history forever. Departing from East Garden at 10 p.m., I accompanied him to Danbury Prison. Biting my lip, I firmed up my resolve to be strong, yet I could not hold back the tears that flowed even without my realizing it. During that ride, Father was not the least bit concerned about what would happen to him. Even as he thought about America and God's providence, his only concern in that moment was to comfort me. When I saw that, I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. Before his departure, Father said, "I will liberate even this prison." He repeatedly said we should not cry for him, but rather pray for the sake of accomplishing God's will. Today, July 22nd, at the crack of dawn, he called and asked me to convey this message to you. You are the people who have received God's royal summons to kindle a beacon of light within Christianity. Securing Father's freedom depends on you. I see this as the final opportunity God has given to us. Please continue fulfilling your mission and activities with the most sincere devotion and carry out Father's direction. When you move God's heart with your sincere devotion, Satan will raise his arms in surrender, and history will welcome a new age. So, it's hard to digest all that, and that's 40 years ago, and we still are facing all kinds of challenges. There's some things going on in Korea. There's a challenge to the Family Federation in Japan. So there's a lot of things that can easily discourage us. And yet, you're here, that we have hope for the future. We have the same dream. I think what Father has always done is recognize that his hope is the same as God's hope. And I think we feel the same. When we feel like something we hope for is the right thing to hope for, and that it is what God hopes for, then no matter what happens, then we keep on hanging on to that hope. Because if it's not accomplished tomorrow, it might be accomplished next week, or if it's not next week, it'll be next year, or if it's not next year, next century. That's a big step, to go beyond our own lives, to say, God's hope is somewhere out there, and we don't know when it can be fulfilled, but we'll do our part, and we'll fulfill what we can, and we'll build the world of our reality based on that hope, that we can create something, even if it's small, then it'll be something that God can use. And I think that's really the essence of how true parents have dealt with that. They want us to have that same kind of resilience that can go through all kinds of things. I think I'll leave it there. There are many other things. Please join me in a prayer. Our dear God, our Heavenly Parent, we know that you are always watching over us, and we're so grateful to know you, to see that the world is your world, especially when we're out here in the natural environment. This is the world that you created. And we pray that our human world can come to reflect the same harmony, unity, and connection to you. And yet we have such a bigger responsibility to really be your children, to become the embodiment of your heart and your will. So we pray, Father, that you can guide our lives, our families, all the families here, our community, and our world, and that we can find our way to fulfill our part and contribute to your providential work. So please be with us now and bless us with your presence. I offer this prayer in my name, Christopher Labar. Bless Central Family. Arch.